Welcome to the Front Four Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Marchese. Alongside me, as always, my buddy, my pal, Jeff Azaparty. You can follow us.
Let's not stretch that.
All right, fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry.
What happened to podcast?
My co-host and jackass Jeff Azaparty. You can follow us on Twitter at MattyMar89, at J_party, and at Front, the number 4 Fantasy. And we saw a couple of things this weekend, Jeff, and specifically with two offenses that we thought were going to be really, really prolific, and maybe a couple of things that we saw with those two offenses that are quite concerning. And those are the Seattle Seahawks offense and the Dallas Cowboys offense. Now, let's start with Seattle, because you and I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. We had a feeling that Russ was coming back. That's what the reports were, that he was coming back. And we talked about it. Maybe it was too early. No. And it's really looked as though that might be the case. I mean, Russ is.
I think what we said, Matty, was that fingers are important. So if his finger is not fully there and he hasn't looked like himself, that whole offense is like sputtering. It's crazy.
So the fact that the Seahawks have thrown for 0 touchdowns in the 2 games that Russ has played, and against opponents that, you think they'd be able to put up at least a few points on, and they haven't been able to. So Russ has thrown for 161 and 207 in his 2 starts. And this is the concerning part. Russ is a very accurate thrower of the football. His completion percentage in those 2 games, 51.5%. It's basically, I know you got to roll these guys out there, but DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett have been non-existent for them. And you can't trust anybody in the running game, Jeff.
For sure. No, without a doubt. I hear you totally, Matty. And I think, especially when you look at last week's game, watched it all because it was the Arizona game. Especially in the red zone, Russ struggled. He couldn't cook in the end zone. He had Everett open like a few times. Gerald Everett was open a couple times and he just flat out missed them. It was going to be ugly when he goes back and watches that game film on how bad those passes were. And you're right. That running game is, if you can't get that going, what are you going to do? Alex Collins dealing with the concussion, can't get anything going. He's been given the opportunity, right? DJ Dallas might be the way to go. He might be the most solid thing in there. He only got 4 touches, 25 yards, 1 touchdown, but he looked pretty good. So maybe they give him more of an opportunity. Rashad Penny looked like he was going to come back, but 2 plays and he was out again. He's got hamstring injury. He can't stay healthy. And I think I picked DK as a potential league winner given what they have going down, but Russ just can't get him the ball.
Do you have their schedule, the remaining schedule in front of you?
I don't actually.
I thought I did. It's okay. It's not a big deal. But I guess the question is how much can we trust Russ? We're getting down to crunch time here in the fantasy football season. We're talking about, because if you drafted Russell Wilson,
I got their lineup.
Okay, shoot.
So it's Washington.
Yeah.
At Washington, whose defense playing better. San Fran, whose defense playing better. Then Houston, the Rams, Chicago, and Detroit to end it. So 3 out of those last 4 weeks, maybe all 4, Houston, the Rams, and Detroit. But it gets them a few weeks to get going,
But Jeff, if you drafted Russell Wilson, you probably didn't spend much capital on a backup court. You could pick guys up on the waiver wire.
But look at other guys we've talked about, Matty. Dak hasn't had great weeks. Josh Allen's numbers have been down. Quarterbacks are really they've been a bit mind-blowing this year. Yeah, very up and down. Well, we'll get to that a bit later, right? Rest of the season schedule with quarterbacks, but man, I don't know. You're right. Russell would be all you'd need to bank on, and then maybe take a shot on a rookie who hasn't been playing well. I don't know, man. You're right. This offense is looking very bad and scary now.
So my point is, if you drafted Russell Wilson, you were relying on him. You probably had to pick up a waiver wire quarterback. But at that point, because he's been hurt for so long, you might be fighting to get into the playoffs. So it might not be a guaranteed thing. So obviously, there's going to be options out there. So we'll help you out later on with some of those guys that we're looking at maybe to target and some of the guys that we want to stay away from. But it's a really, really tumultuous offense right now. And I just don't know, outside of you have to start DK Metcalf and you're probably starting Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, you have to.
But I don't know.
Still guys on buys, this and that. Like I said, besides that, I don't know. Your best option was DJ Dallas, but nobody in that running game is doing anything. It's crazy.
I'm staying away. If I have Russ and I have a mediocre option behind him, I'm starting the if I have Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm starting Jimmy Garoppolo ahead of him just because
like you said, we'll get into this and who we trust over who in a bit, like for sure.
Okay, let's talk about the Dallas offense quickly here.
Ooh, and another one. That Chiefs, game was billed as a shootout,
and it was a shitout.
Okay, there you go.
I think that's what we can call it.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And the thing is, Dallas, it's almost as if the Chiefs gave the rest of the league the blueprint to beat Dallas, especially with Tyron Smith out. So Tyron Smith is great in pass protection and run protection. He might play this week against the Raiders in the Thanksgiving Day game.
And you hope he does if you're a Zeke owner or a Pollard owner for sure. Because, like, it's funny, Matty, you bring that up, but I heard somewhere, like, you know, everyone's wondering about like Cooper and Lamb, who are probably not going to play. Like, they're not even the biggest factors into Zeke and Pollard having a big game. It's probably Tyron Smith, like for him starting without a doubt. And the protection for Dak as well, or
it's almost as if the Chiefs defense, which now looks like world beaters. I don't know what the hell happened, but apparently they became the 86 Bears.
That's this year, man. That's just here.
It really is. They may have given the blueprint of just pressure the hell out of this offensive line, especially with Tyron Smith out, and do what you can, because they really shut them down. Dak had 3 turnovers in that game. And you know what? CeeDee Lamb was basically invisible even before the concussion.
He was injury, without a doubt, for sure.
Without CeeDee Lamb, like, I don't know. I guess you could go.
Dak didn't get 10 fantasy points like he didn't.
I know.
Which was crazy.
I know. This was it was another one of those stupid weeks. I
this whole season, Matty. It's season.
Been a stupid
Stop
year.
Calling it just a stupid week, because it's been a
stupid year. I guess you could go pick up Cedric Wilson.
Yeah, might as well. And Gallup's like your number one guy this week.
Gallup's gonna get fed. And you know what, Jeff? The guy that not even flies under the radar, the guy who's gonna get work that nobody wants to talk about is Dalton Schultz. He's gonna get the work.
He might be the number one receiver this week, like target for them this week.
I would not be surprised at all. Because as we know, the Raiders have been good against opposing wide receivers this year. Shockingly, they've been good against them. So this is where you take advantage of the Raiders, is you've got to throw the ball to Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz is going to have a big game. That's my prediction. If Dallas's offense hums, Dalton Schultz is going to be the one with the big game.
And here's the other thing with Tyron Smith, and would you count on both Zeke and Pollard? I could see them both having a big game too, especially if that pass game.
Well, it's a big week for bye weeks, right? Like the Chiefs are out, and who's the other team?
Arizona.
Arizona, like there's some relevant fantasy players.
Yeah, without a doubt, those are some pretty big points you're getting.
Like everybody who had James Conner was starting.
You have to start him, leading the league in touchdowns. Let's go. Like, wow.
So at that point, maybe you have Tony Pollard and James Conner on your roster.
Worth a start this week.
Pollard might get some work, especially they may use him out in the slot a little bit, because they got to throw the ball to somebody. They're going to have to throw. There's no question about it. And Tyron Smith looks like he's going to play, so that should be very interesting this Thursday.
It was a bit of a last minute decision last week, right? Like he was leaning towards not playing, but they left it up to last. So you would hope the extra couple of days and he's good to go this week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He should be good to go. Now, this is something that I never thought that we would have a conversation about, Jeff.
I love this.
The Jets offense. So
let's go.
Going into this season, if you told me that the Jets would have 2 productive rookies and neither of them were named Zach Wilson, I would have called you a moron.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it would have been me that would have been the moron.
Well,
like
not the only reason, but okay, go on. Finish your point.
So you were high on this guy. I was high on him, but I wasn't as high as you on him. Elijah Moore has been really, really good. The last 4 games, 31 targets, 24 catches, 336 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he has at least 67 receiving yards or a touchdown in each of those 4 games. Monster week this past week. But Jeff, the question that I ask you is Elijah Moore's value going out the window because it looks like Zach Wilson starting this week?
That was going to be my first point. Here, those numbers have been, his best production has been since Zach went down. So like, it's insane to me to think, this guy, like, you would hope that they do what a lot of teams do with a rookie like that, is feature him the rest of the way and hope that that's the guy you get next year when he shows up at training camp. Like he's your number one guy. So you would hope, and their coach to me is smart enough where he might do that, is feature and call plays more for Elijah Moore. So again, he's featured, he gets those plays, he gets those reps, and maybe him and Zach Wilson, it's pretty clear he needs to form a bond with him because Elijah Moore is that good. Like he's good, man.
He's a stud. He really is.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if Zach Wilson has learned a thing or two watching from the sidelines. And I don't mean this in a negative way. Like sometimes guys, like it happened to Josh Allen his rookie year. He got hurt. He got to watch from the sidelines for a few weeks. And when he came back, he was a better quarterback. I do wonder
and that's specifically
need that.
For the running backs, I would say for Michael Carter and Ty Johnson with the checkdowns, right? Mike White, when he had those amazing weeks, he was checking down a ton. And that's when Michael Carter had huge weeks. Even Ty Johnson had a couple great weeks, right? Like, so you would think maybe this is the other way to go and it could open up maybe the middle for him more. But I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Like Zach Wilson relied a lot on Corey Day. Like, is he going back there? Like, man.
But why not? But why not just they'll spread the ball around and give yourself a chance. This is on the coaching staff and the play calling. They need to call more screens, whether it be wide receiver screens or running back screens, tight end screens, whatever. They need to be able to get Zach Wilson the confidence that he can start getting some completions, get into a rhythm, maybe run a little bit of no huddle. I know they don't like to do that with a lot of rookie quarterbacks, unless your name's Mac Jones. But do that more often to get him into a rhythm, because if you can do that, the offense is going to move. And guys like Elijah Moore and Michael Carter, who we haven't even gotten into, who's been RB10 in points per game since week 7.
Crazy.
Listen, as much as I hate to admit it, the Jets have talented players on offense. They really do.
Maybe just need a better offensive line. Yeah, but for sure. And like I said, at the end of the season now, like Michael Carter is interesting to me. He's out, they say 2 or 3 weeks, but if he doesn't heal properly, do they shut him down for the year? Right? Like,
it depends. It doesn't seem like it's all that serious. I wonder if they may give him an extra week only gives him the week 17 or week 18. So
and here's the other funny thing, Maddie, I was looking at and I saw was that the rest of their weeks isn't really like, it's not good for the run game. They got Philly, then New Orleans. Philly, who's been better.
Yeah, they've been really good.
Their defense has been good, especially against the run. The Saints, who we know has a good defense. The Dolphins after that, whose defense is getting better. The Jags, who surprisingly have a great run defense. Like, it's crazy. And then the Bucks after that. Like, the rest of their season isn't great for running backs. So whoever the quarterback is going to have to throw the ball.
That's got to be
really questionable who it'll be.
That's got to be check down central for Michael Carter. If you want to get him involved.
Yes. And again, could be good for Zach Wilson to get into that habit because he didn't do it all year. And like you said, maybe watching from the sidelines, picked up a thing from Mike White. Who knows? Like you have any faith? If Michael Carter's out for multiple weeks, do you like Tevin Coleman at all or no?
No, I take Ty Johnson instead.
Yeah, but the way they've been splitting the backs, I wonder for sure. Ty Johnson is showing he can do it too. Like, you know, like I said, and another thing we had mentioned last time we talked about like Michael Carter is you wonder if the Jets learn from looking around the league too and go to more a two back system because they're both young guys, both rookies, both have talent.
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
I agree, and I wonder if Zach Wilson gets away from the hero ball a little bit because that's what we saw with Josh Allen a lot in his rookie
interception after interception. You would
hero ball. Sometimes it's good to just throw it to the open guy, even if it's for 3 or 4 yards. Yeah. Get into a rhythm. So it's going to be. I'm curious to see what Zach Wilson looks like when he comes back because like there's a reason why the guy was drafted 2nd overall.
Without a doubt,
he's obviously got talent. It's and just working him in the system. That's got
to get that confidence back up and just make reads. Hey man, it takes a while to adjust in the NFL, right? Like making those reads, how fast guys are. Yeah, we're learning that right across the board. And speaking of that, like you mentioned them, my random stat of the week. You know, Mac Jones has the greatest rookie quarterback completion rate of all time in the NFL this year so far.
Why am I not surprised?
It's crazy. Like I know he doesn't throw the ball a ton, but his completion rate, the greatest of all time for rookie quarterbacks.
Hey, he was super accurate at Alabama. His completion percentage last season was like 70% or something.
Yeah, it's insane.
And that was an offense where they would throw the ball. They would take deep shots. It's not as if it was just check down central because that's what Mac Jones is doing a lot of. He throws a good deep ball.
Yeah,
exactly. But again, Jeff, that's smart play calling. Like Josh McDaniels is one of the best offensive coordinators in the league for a reason. Play to your strengths.
You're right.
All right. We're going to go through the next couple weeks with by position, rest of the season and who we like and who we don't, because as we know, we're getting into crunch time here. You either are already qualified for the playoffs or you're still trying to get in. And there's some options out there that you might want to look at. Maybe there's a guy you sit here and there, and we're going to start with the quarterbacks.
Well, I'm going to say, and to this week, we're going to do two of the most unreliable positions this season, it seems. We just talked about quarterbacks and how you can't count on them. And we're going to do tight ends too, who this year for tight ends has been a gong show. So
it's been a cluster bleep is what it's been. So the first guy that I kind of pinpointed, we talked to, so I won't keep it.
How did you approach this, Matty? Like you're just looking every quarterback, guys on the waiver wire. Like I tried to look at more guys on the waiver wire, guys, because most leagues, all leagues, pretty much your trade deadline's done. So you're not going out and getting some of these guys, right? Like Jalen Hurts has been good all year for fantasy, no matter what we think. And he's been getting better. He's been looked better on the field as a quarterback.
Yeah.
You're probably not getting Jalen Hurts because his numbers have been up all year and he's got a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. So I don't know. That's how I approach. Like I'm looking at guys that are possibly available on your waiver wire.
I looked at it kind of both ways. So the other way I was looking at it was guys that we think are going to be really good, who have tough schedules, and they may not be that locked in starter. So we could kind of go back and forth on it, but
okay, cool.
I'll be quick on my first guy because it was Cam Newton, and he looked really good. And I was surprised at how good he looked. And, we talked about him last week, but the schedule next 2 weeks, I like. He's got Miami, and I think he's
got a bye after that. He's got a bye after that.
Yeah, and then he's got the Falcons
after that. Yes.
Yeah, but then he goes Buffalo, Tampa, and New Orleans to round out the fantasy season. And like I said last week, Cam Newton may be the guy that gets you into the playoffs, but you're not going to win with Cam Newton when you're in the playoffs. So to get you there is fine, but I don't think you're starting him against Buffalo, Tampa Bay, and New Orleans. Maybe Tampa Bay, just because it's a divisional game and they're usually tight. And that usually and Tampa's
and their secondary, who knows, right? Yeah. But they have been better lately too. To be fair, like
they beat up on Daniel Jones this past week.
Fair,
so I mean,
fair enough. Yeah, that's true. The thing with Cam that always surprises me is that like he doesn't need many passing yards to have a great week. Like last week when I saw his numbers and then I looked like at his when I looked at his fantasy numbers and then I looked at his actual numbers, it was mind blowing to me. Like he did have 2 passing touchdowns, but you're right. It's the rushing, especially in the red zone, right? We know how greedy he can be sometimes. And when he's close to the goal line, most likely he's going to run it in himself.
And it keeps McCaffrey healthy and upright when they run Cam.
And you know what, for me, like with McCaffrey, he's going to throw McCaffrey the ball to get him in the end zone, not hand it off to him. Because he'll run it in himself, but he'll dump it off. He'll do that check down to McCaffrey. So then it becomes a passing touchdown for Cam too. It's a double win if you have McCaffrey and Cam.
So the other thing is, and we'll move on from Cam, but
he could be a good, let me just say this, man. Yeah. He could be a good option. Like you said, like this week, Mahomes and Kyler are on the bye, right? And Kyler, we don't even know if he's coming back for sure. So maybe if you're a Kyler owner, you go grab Cam as a safety net, right?
I think you can start Cam his next 2 games. I like the matchup.
2 out of 3. He's got the bye after this week.
But I like his
next 2 games. Yeah, without a doubt.
And the other thing is, Jeff, is you love quarterbacks like Cam who run the ball, but they throw those little checkdowns to running backs like Christian McCaffrey, whatever. But running backs that like those cheap, easy throws that gain you maybe, a point every 2 throws that he makes to those guys, or a point every 3 throws he makes. Those are high efficiency throws. Those get you fantasy points, easy fantasy points.
And again, he's got playmakers there. Like DJ Moore all of a sudden became relevant again, right? You don't have to throw the ball deep to DJ Moore for him to make a good play, a big play and break it, right?
No.
So yeah, he's got the playmakers there to do it. Or McCaffrey, again, a simple dump off to McCaffrey can end up being like
could be a 60-yard touchdown. Who cares?
Without a doubt, for sure. So he's got the playmakers there.
They don't drop pictures, Jeff.
Like I said, he's making Robbie Anderson relevant again.
Oh, I think Robbie Anderson is the most mentioned player on this podcast since we started.
Without a doubt. I'm making it a goal to get him into every podcast. I don't care.
You're trying to get him into Canton. Forget the podcast. He's trying to get him into Canton.
No, man. I dropped him in every league, but now he's relevant again. So that's the way my season's gone. Anyway, go ahead.
It's you.
It's my turn. So here's a funny thing for me, Matty. I don't know which way to go because I have a list of quarterbacks. You took Cam off that, but like when I look at the waiver wire on some lists, there are guys there with pretty good schedules. One guy, I guess I'll bring okay. Let me ask you this: Big Ben, do you trust him? He had a pretty good week last week. I think he had around 25 fantasy points. His defense is hurting. They may have to chase points the rest of the way. His schedule's like this: Cincinnati, Baltimore, Minnesota, Tennessee, and then in playoffs it'll be Kansas City, Cleveland, and then Baltimore again. How do you rank him, or where do you see him?
He's available like everywhere.
Yeah, I know. So he was one of the curious ones to me.
Okay, so here's what. Okay, so we can dovetail two of our players here. And now we can kind of have a comparable. So I think Carson Wentz is something like QB 11 or 10 or somewhere around there. Carson Wentz, their schedule remaining, they have the Bucks, they have the Texans, they have the Pats, they have the Cardinals, and they have the Raiders. And they're going to go, and we know that they want to run the ball. It was very evident in the bad weather against Buffalo. But I'm going to take Big Ben's schedule over Carson Wentz's schedule.
No doubt. For sure.
And the way that the Colts defense is playing, they're going to be put in a position where Carson Wentz may not have to throw the ball a whole heck of a lot. Yeah. Like if Jonathan Taylor's going to run 5 touchdowns in every week, I mean, Carson, okay, that's not going to happen again. But if there was a running back that it could happen with, it's him or Derrick Henry, it feels like. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so if that was the comparable, I'm probably taking Ben the rest of the season.
And again, a guy who's got playmakers on the field that can help him out, right? Yeah. Chase comes back. He's got Leonte. He's got Najee. Like he's got those playmakers who it's more than him just throwing the ball. It's maybe them making the plays and him just reaping the benefits, right? He
has better weapons than Carson Wentz. We're very aware of that. He's just got a broken body. But I don't know. It seems to be working. Like you said, I thought he played pretty good against the Chargers. They didn't lose because of him. They lost because of a blown coverage. Ben put them in positions to put up points. I don't think that was the problem. Like maybe their execution in the red zone was really bad, but I don't put that on Ben. I put that on some of the play calling was just absolutely atrocious, like stuff that you just shouldn't be doing. So I think Ben is a really good option going forward here, especially, okay, so we talked about him earlier. I trust Ben Roethlisberger ahead of Russell Wilson right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. No, I'm with you on that. I would too, for sure, without a doubt.
I feel so dirty saying that, but I don't know.
Maybe it doesn't feel right.
Maybe it's the mustache. I don't know. I think that's I think Ben Roethlisberger is a great selection.
Crazy to me, man. It's crazy.
But Ben does this every year. We think he's having a bad year, and then he puts up numbers.
And the interceptions are down, so they have to play these again. Their defense is hurting, so like their defense isn't performing up to par to what we expect. So they're gonna be close games. If anything, they could even be chasing points in some of these games because we know Cincinnati's gonna move the ball. We know Baltimore's gonna move the ball. We know Minnesota's gonna move the ball. You hope Tennessee, KC. Again, they all move the ball. So this could be a back and forth type thing. Like, and Ben's gonna have to throw the ball if he wants his team to stay in the game. So
and even if
there's a potential for big numbers there, I think.
And even if it's just dump offs to Najee,
that's what I mean.
Cheap points, but who cares?
Could be 20 drop offs. We've seen that. Dude, we could have spent a whole
episode on quarterbacks.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about Taysom Hill. Like now with the contract extension, does he get a shot? How much is him with the running? But I think like that's comparable.
Oh, don't even get me started on Taysom Hill. Trevor Simeon's actually put up fantasy numbers, and I don't even know. Which is
crazy because he hasn't looked good at all.
Just keeps because they constantly find themselves in higher scoring games than they probably need to be. And Trevor Simeon is scoring points in leagues that aren't punitive to interceptions because he's thrown a few of those.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the equation. Okay.
So can I back up my Big Ben one with another one with a guy who I thought maybe had the best schedule for the remainder of the season?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't think I could trust him. It's Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh,
His schedule. Chargers, Chiefs, Lions, Bengals, Vegas, the Raiders, the Chargers again, and then the Chiefs again. Like those are offenses a quarterback should be able to move the ball. And again, a guy who has the playmakers, but a guy I can't trust. It's crazy because I think
Ben over him any day.
Yes, without a doubt. But you look at that schedule, and I was like, wow, what a schedule. I mean, I don't know. And some other guys, obviously, do you have another one or?
I've got a couple, but
so did I. I was just gonna say maybe guys to go check out, see if they're on your waiver wire and pick up. Like who is the next one? Do one more in depth, and we can throw out just a couple names maybe for people to check out. Just say if you trust them or not.
In depth is a guy that you look at and go, he's a locked in starter, but I don't think that he's locked in to put up a ton of points over the next 5 or 6 weeks. And that's Matthew Stafford.
Wow.
He's got Green Bay coming off the bye. I know Jacksonville hasn't been very good, but whatever. They have Jacksonville. Then they have Arizona.
But their defense has been playing pretty good as of late. Ask the Bills. Like, let's go. Right?
Arizona defense is really good. Then they have the Seahawks. And now the Seahawks, everybody go, wow, they're not that good. But they've allowed 23 points, 13 points, 7 points, 17 points, and 23 points in the last 5 games. So and they allowed 26 to the Rams in their previous meeting. But it's not as if they're just hemorrhaging points. After that, they get the Vikings. And that's where I'm kind of just like, I don't know what to think, because the Vikings, some weeks they shut down quarterbacks, and then Aaron Rodgers torches them for 388 this past week and 4 touchdowns. So they're kind of the wild card. But
they're dealing with a lot of injuries, right? So those guys, I think they're not unstable, like they're inconsistent, right? You don't know what you're getting week to week.
If we start the playoffs with Matthew Stafford, his first matchup is Arizona.
Yeah.
You may not get to the Vikings in the finals or the Seahawks in the semifinals. So that's like the question. So it's all about roster volatility sometimes. If you have a stable roster, Matthew Stafford is fine. But if you have a roster that's a lot of boom or bust, I hate to break it to you, but you shouldn't be relying on Matthew Stafford week 1 of the playoffs, because I just don't know. Like, that Arizona defense is no joke.
Right. Without a doubt.
They're winning games without a quarterback right now. And it ain't because the quarterback has been very good. Like, Colt McCoy is just a guy.
Yeah. Well, Seattle had the ball inside the red zone how many times last week, and they had to settle for a field goal or nothing at all, which was crazy, right? Like, that shows what that defense can be. Last guy I'll throw out is Jimmy G, because I would have thought, if you asked me at the start of the season, I would have said stash Trey Lance, because by this point
he's starting down the stretch.
He'll be in the game, and their schedule is great down the sky. Like, their schedule is Minnesota, Seattle, you said could be quiet, but after that, Cincinnati, Atlanta, Tennessee, Houston, and Carolina. Like, I don't know, man. And he's put up over 15 fantasy points in the last 4 weeks. 30, 23, 17, and 17. Like, man, I don't know. Jimmy G could be an option. Ayuk's a thing again, right? Like, I don't know, man. Back. Jimmy G could be another guy.
Debo's been great. That's it. The offense is humming, and they should get Elijah Mitchell back. I don't know if this week, but probably next week.
You would hope so.
So I think that's another great one. Like,
check them out. See what your options are.
And you know what, Jeff? The other thing is the running game hasn't been as effective. So they've had to throw the ball to make plays.
For sure. No kidding. Again, your best playmakers right now might be Debo and Ayuk, right? Like,
and Kittle.
And Kittle. I forgot. Yep.
That's
Kittle's
good,
right back.
man.
He's back. Without a doubt. I'll take my chances with the quarterback throwing those guys the ball. And we've seen Jimmy G perform at that level. Like, he's okay. And the last two I'd tell people just to go check out, depending who you have, is Heineke and Tyrod Taylor. Like, they both had good weeks this week. Their schedules actually aren't bad. Heineke has like Cowboys twice and the Eagles twice, but like their schedules down the stretch are like pretty good matchups. So I don't know. I mean, it all depends who
does Houston have? Because Tyrod has the legs, man.
Yeah, they have the Jets, then the Colts, then Seattle, then Jacksonville, then the Chargers, and then San Fran. So
there's some good matchups in there.
There's a good matchup.
Again, Tyrod could be one of the guys that gets you into the playoffs. He really could.
And then even in the playoffs, it would depend who your other starter is and what the matchup is, right? Anyway,
he was
just all names. It was funny, man. Just looking at the waiver wire and the guys who are on it, like, their schedules are all pretty good compared to like guys we had and guys we've seen struggle sometimes.
Yeah,
like, look at Josh Allen's schedule, especially like you said in the playoffs. It's tough,
the Patriots in there. He has Atlanta, and then they have another one that's not so tough, but they have the Patriots in the playoffs.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's tough. So that'll bring me to my next guy, and then we'll wrap up the quarterback conversation with this. Mac Jones.
Yeah.
So outside of the 2 matchups against the Bills, one is next week, and then the other one is week 16, I believe. They have the Titans, Colts, and Jags. And it could be like, if you get to the final, you could be starting Mac Jones against Jacksonville in the final. It's not so horrible, especially because the Jags have been tougher against the run. And Mac Jones is available in a few leagues, is my guess, in single quarterback leagues. He's probably more available than not. So I think Mac Jones is a really interesting one. He's gotten a lot better as the season has progressed. I've been super impressed with how good Mac Jones is. Again,
without a doubt,
another situation that I hate to admit, but Mac Jones has been pretty good. And again, who predicted Mac Jones is going to be the best rookie quarterback for fantasy purposes? He's got 2 thumbs.
And he's sitting over there in a red shirt. Yeah, for sure.
And somebody will say, oh, you got so many other things wrong. Yeah, but I'll take my victory laps when I can.
Without a doubt. And he's been brought along right. So sorry, just to wrap up on Josh Allen. Like, championship week, he has Atlanta, so that's great. But to get there, you got to go Saints, Patriots, Bucks, Panthers, and Patriots again. Like, not a great schedule.
that whole offense needs to pick up their
for sure
crap. It's been a joke the last.
Emmanuel Sanders, bye-bye.
Revenge week.
Possible drop candidate. Anyways, let's wrap this up.
Revenge week. Okay, tight ends. I only have 2 here because it's been too nuts for me to even commit to anybody outside of Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews.
It is insane. And again, I just looked at the waiver wire, and these are guys who were available and who I hear people claiming are streamers for this week. But when you look at the rest of the season schedule, they have pretty good matchups.
Oh, please tell me Dan Arnold's in there, because this week was Dan Arnold week and he had no targets. A big donut.
Wow, that's because Trevor Lawrence just looked awful.
Anyways, can't say I'm surprised.
I'll let you go first because I got a bunch here on this one too.
Okay, so I started with Zach Ertz.
Okay, yeah,
and Zach
number 1 tight end last week.
2 touchdowns. He looks like the red zone guy, especially now that we have no idea when DeAndre Hopkins is going to be back. I'm assuming him and Kyler are back after the bye, but Zach Ertz has been really good in the red zone. He's got the Bears, Rams, and then he finishes off with Lions, Colts, and Cowboys. There's some good matchups in there to finish up. I really do like the Lions, Colts, and Cowboys in the playoffs for Zach Ertz. The problem with Zach Ertz, and much like many of the tight ends that are going to be on this list, I'm just concerned about the volume. Arizona spreads the ball around like crazy. Zach Ertz really made the most of limited targets. And again, Kyler Murray wasn't there, but I do wonder if they incorporate him more. Remember, he got traded midseason. He's coming off the bye, maybe a little bit more time to get acquainted with the offense.
Learning the offense, for sure. Yeah. And again, Kyler's sitting on the sidelines going, wow, this guy can make plays if you just get him the ball, especially in the red zone, right? Like, without a doubt, I'm with you, man.
All right.
I totally agree.
Who do you got?
So the first one I want to bring up, and now he's still on IR, but Logan Thomas might have the best schedule for any tight end remaining. He's got Seattle, Vegas, Dallas, Philadelphia, Dallas again, Philadelphia again, and the Giants. Now, whatever you think about those defenses, like they're bad against tight ends. So, I mean, and Heineke, we said, has been throwing the ball well lately, might be a guy he leans on, who we know becomes a big part of the offense once he's in there. So my first would just watch to see if he's getting off IR, check to see if he's on your waiver wire. And if he is, and there's reports he's coming off IR this week, go grab him. Yeah.
No, Logan Thomas is a good option. He showed flashes last season of being
really
what I mean. Good, really reliable down the stretch.
And once they rely on him, they integrate him big time, huge into the offense, right?
Yeah. So this guy that I have here, I doubt he's on too many waiver wires, but he might be, or it's a guy that you picked up in the hopes of starting him because the position has been so volatile, is Pat Freiermuth. And you were on him earlier this season. And now
just waiting for the breakout.
Yeah.
If anything, because like we talked about, just Ben's arm isn't what it is, right? And what did everybody say? He's Heath Miller. We see what Steelers do with guys like Heath Miller, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
So no Ebron. He's out. He's going to have knee surgery. He's going to be out for probably, my guess is the rest of the season. I don't think that matters a lot, but at least it's one less guy that you have to worry about with Freiermuth.
No.
So
Freiermuth's running a lot of routes, and he's in there for a lot of snaps. The majority.
And you look at what they have remaining: Bengals, Ravens, Vikings, Titans, and Chiefs. There's plenty of points available on the board. Like we talked about it with Ben. And I like those matchups. And the one thing that I really do like about Freiermuth is not only has he gotten much better as the season progressed, they've incorporated him a lot more in the red zone. Sure. Like they look his way in the end zone a lot.
All the time, for sure, without a doubt. And so, you know what's even more to me, Matty? He recently had that fumble. They went right back to him. Like they want him involved. They want him. Like, a lot of places, especially with a rookie, a fumble means you're out of the offense for a bit. They went right back to him, and Ben, you could tell Ben just trusts him.
Well, we figured out that Mike Tomlin isn't Bill Belichick. That's what we figured out. I think Freiermuth is a really good option going down the stretch here, just because, again, like I said, he just keeps getting better. And that's what I like to see out of rookies. So, I mean, that was the last guy that I had. So if you want to rhyme off a couple here.
Yeah, no. So the one I wanted to ask you about for sure is Evan Ingram. Like, I know in the past we've been high on, like, say last year and even maybe to start this year, we thought he could be something. But like his matchups for the rest of the year: Philadelphia giving up points first to tight ends. Miami, which is in the middle, like 14th. Then the Chargers, second to giving up points. Then Dallas, ninth in giving up points. Philadelphia again, first. And then championship week, he's got Chicago, which is at the back, like 25th. That's a pretty good lineup for the rest of for what, 5 weeks in a row, almost 6 weeks. Yeah, 5 weeks in a row. Like, would you trust him, especially in that offense?
Nope.
Yeah.
No, even okay. So we're gonna get to the Giants offense in the 2-minute drill on a quick thing, but I don't know. There's a lot of talent there, and Daniel Jones he shows flashes of being really good, and then he shows flashes where he like really sucks. Yeah. Like that. The one interception that he had, he basically threw it to a defensive lineman, and there was nobody else around. Like that kind of stuff is that's killer for offenses. And I love Evan Ingram's talent. He's had a ton of drops over the last couple of years. He's always hurt. I don't think that's a guy that, I don't know. I can't. Yeah. I can't do it. Jeff.
I'm with you on him. I wouldn't trust him. So the other guys I only have, go take a look at Noah Fant. He's got the Chargers, Chiefs, Lions, Bengals, Raiders, Chargers again, and Chiefs again. So that could be
matchups.
Yeah, and Austin Hooper could be the other one. He's got a bye in there, but he's got the Ravens twice, who I mentioned are up there. I think they're at the top of giving up points to tight ends. Then he's got the Raiders. He's got Green Bay. He's got Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. So decent matchups down the stretch.
I like Hooper a bit. Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Baker's broken.
Yeah,
and his arm and everything doesn't work well right now. So I could really see a situation where they may have. I know they're in the midst of a playoff push, but they're going to have to throw the ball short, and it may be Case Keenum. We may see Case Keenum in there. Donovan Peoples-Jones has been hurt. He didn't play this past week. Jarvis Landry's battling a knee injury. Like, it basically is, if you could stay healthy, then you're an option. I think Hooper is a decent streaming option going forward here. He's not the be-all, end-all, but at least it's something. It's a guy that can get points for you, especially, again, if you have a roster that's safe, you could probably take a chance on Hooper. Maybe he catches a touchdown.
And the other guy would be Cole Kmet. With Allen Robinson out, he might get more targets, and Andy Dalton being back in, which might be better for their passing game, depending who you ask and what. Like, Cole Kmet could be at least a streamer this week. Maybe I don't have the rest of the season, but he could be integrated into that offense a bit more. That's it.
All right, let's go to the not so 2-minute drill, and we're going to start with Jeff. Can you wait for this Thanksgiving Day matchup? Andy Dalton versus Jared Goff.
I was gonna say, speaking of Cole Kmet, there you go. If you stream him, that would be one of the few reasons to watch that game.
I saw somebody say, don't eat your lunch before 12:30 because you're probably gonna throw it up. It's very good.
Well, it's funny. You know what I saw? Somebody said, we're all going to complain about this game, and then there's going to be 40 million people watching it. Like, nobody shies away from watching the NFL game, so we can all complain about it, but we'll all still watch it.
I'll be watching it while I'm working.
Right? Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So that was the one thing I actually liked about being in the office. You actually could have football on, and it's like, well, I'm working.
Yeah, it's true. No,
I guess I could do that from home, but
it's a way to get through your day, right? Watching football while you work, without a doubt.
Yeah, and we'll finish up with this one. Giants fired Jason Garrett. It took them way too long. That was a tire fire. Like, the Monday Nighter was an absolute disaster. Did you see the one picture?
You want me to tell you what got him fired? Saquon Barkley, 6 carries the entire game. Like, what are you doing? Like, invest in your run game. Yeah, invest in your run game.
And the guy, and I know he hasn't been good and he's been hurt a lot this year, but the guy you paid $40 million guaranteed to, Kenny Golladay, had 2 targets.
Yeah.
So Freddie Kitchens is going to be calling plays for them. I'm not so I don't know what to think, but it can't be any worse. It really can't be any worse.
I mean, this is a testing period for him, right? Like, he's going to try and show off a bit. So maybe who knows? Who knows? He'll key on maybe some of the young guys. Again, feature those guys. I think teams like that, teams like the Giants, have to feature their young stars, see what you got. That's why maybe Tony's getting more targets and looks. I don't know. But the Saquon thing just blows my mind. Like, if he's in the game, you got to use him. You got to establish that running game. Like, he's your most dangerous weapon. Come on.
And my guess is that he played and he was probably healthy.
Right.
So if he's healthy, why does he not get 18 touches?
If you're going to dress him against, without a doubt, for sure. At least over 10. Come on, man.
He had, 6 catches, I think, for 31 yards. Like, he had 12 touches. That's probably 8 less than
was
he
it 12? Sorry, 6 catches. Sorry, yeah.
But Jeff, 12 touches for one of the most dynamic players in the NFL. I don't care if he's been hurt or not all year. He's still talented.
I know it was a low number. I got his receptions or his targets and his carries mixed up.
And the other thing is too, Jeff, is like your season is over.
Yes.
Give him a chance to show something.
Yeah. Like get him back into that groove, right? Let him feel good. Let him end the season on a high note and get back into it. Yeah.
Speaking of a high note,
we're done.
You and I play each other this weekend.
I know, you're
big matchup.
Yeah, not really.
And for those out there that listen to this podcast or watch this podcast, I survived an Eckler and Jonathan Taylor on the same team. I survived 9 touchdowns from 2 players. Yeah, my team is pretty stacked. I was fortunate because some people just make bad trades. And I am happy to oblige bad trades.
I just hope Kamara comes back. I do lose James Conner for this week. I need Kamara back this week. That's all.
And I don't think he's
gonna have a chance. I know. So that's why I'm saying thanks for bringing that up.
He gets the vaunted Bills defense that just gave up 5 touchdowns.
That's why we're not friends. You bring stuff like that up.
I'm the resident jackass.
Hurry up.
What can I say?
Say goodbye. I'm out of here.
All right. Subscribe to the podcast, Spotify.
Yeah, do that.
Apple
for me,
Podcasts.
not for Maddie. He's a jerk.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at MattyMar89, at J_party, at front the number 4 fantasy. This has been episode 12.
Woohoo! And go, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Go donate to Maddie. Look at that mustache.
I'm almost at 500.
He needs money. He needs money. Go do it. That's why he's doing it.
If I get $500, I'll even leave it longer. I know other people are shaving it, but I'll leave it longer.
No. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Everybody
should hit
it.
Once you get to 1,000, you shave it. That's it. Anyway.
I would, for 1,000, I would do it for sure.
Okay. Well, let's go. You heard him, people. You don't want to listen to this podcast and have to look at that mustache.
Who wants a mustache ride? That's been it. That's been it for the Dirty Dozen. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.